as he fulfills his purpose on the cross. This evening's worship service will feature readings and reflections and some singing. Let us stand for the call to worship. On an evening like this, Jesus gathered with his disciples in an upper room waiting. On an evening like this, Jesus served the disciples by washing their feet as he waited.
Gather to remember the last evening of Jesus' life as he waited for his arrest. This is the day that the Lord has made.
Let us pray. Holy and mysterious God, as we gather to hear the story of the Last Supper, draw our attention to the message of love, compassion, and forgiveness amid strife, distrust, and betrayal. Let this worship encounter draw us closer to Christ, to one another, and strengthen our faith. Amen. You may be seated as we sing along to this hymn, As We Are Gathered.
Gathered, Jesus is here, one with each other.
Our first reading.
Our first reading is from Matthew 26, verses 17 to 25. On the first day of the festival of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Where do you want us to make preparations for you to eat the Passover?" He replied, "Go into the city to a certain man and tell him, 'The teacher says, my appointed time is near. I am going to celebrate the Passover with my disciples at your house.'" So the disciples did as Jesus had directed them and prepared the Passover. When evening came, Jesus was reclining at the table with the 12. And while they were eating, he said, "Truly I tell you, one of you will betray me." They were very sad and began to say to him one after the other, "Surely you don't mean me, Lord." Jesus replied, "The one who has dipped his hand into the bowl with me will betray me. The Son of Man will go just as it is written about him. But woe to that man who betrays the Son of Man. It would be better for him if he had not been born." Then Judas, the one who would betray him, said, "Surely you don't mean me, Rabbi." Jesus answered, "You have said so."
Been quite surreal to be in a room of mixed feelings. Meal times are supposed to be times when the feelings of oneness and solidarity fill the room. Not this one. This was a room of mixed feelings. It was a room of sadness, for they knew that what he had been predicting was coming to pass. He was going to die. But the revelation that they would all fail to live up to the bonds of friendship were disheartening. It was a room of betrayal. For one sat among them waiting for when the time was right to point him out to the authorities. But knowledge made this room a room of anxiety. Jesus invited them and sat with them in this room of mixed feelings. He sat among them who would betray him, deny him, and abandon him. Why? Because no matter what choice they made, he loved them. Jesus delivered us from the rooms of mixed feelings, and we pray that if we must sit in them, give us the strength to love everyone at the table.
Our second reading is Matthew 26, verses 26 to 30. While they were eating, Jesus took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take and eat. This is my body." Then he took a cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, saying, "Drink from it, all of you. This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins. I tell you, I will not drink from this fruit of the vine from now on until that day when I drink it with you in my Father's kingdom." When they had sung a hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives.
As we are gathered, Jesus is here, one with each other. Jesus is here. He decided to leave a practice with them to remember him. Jesus took bread from the table, gave thanks, broke it, and passed it around, saying, "Take, eat. This is my body broken for you." Then he took a cup of wine and gave thanks and passed it around and said, "Drink from it, all of you. This is my blood of covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins." It was becoming real. He would soon know what it meant to be broken and poured out for the forgiveness of sins. I wonder if they understood that the one that it costs was so great. I wonder if they understood the cost of discipleship was sacrifice of self. That as we love, sometimes we get broken. That as we love, sometimes it feels like it is being wasted. Yet we are called to love nonetheless, forgiving each time that we are broken, and our love treated with disdain. So we pray, Jesus, heal our brokenness, and since we must pour out our love, heal us despite our pain and strengthen us.
Was why he said not everyone was clean. When he had finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and returned to his place. Do you understand what I have done for you? He asked them. You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. Very truly, I tell you, no servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. Now that you know these things, you will be blessed if you do them. Jesus said, now the Son of Man is glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will glorify the Son in himself and will glorify him at once. My children, I will be with you only a little longer. You will look for me, and just as I told the Jews, so I tell you now, where I am going, you cannot come. A new command I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. As we are gathered, Jesus is here. One with each other, Jesus is here.
It's hard to tell who is on your side sometimes. On the outside, most people around us look like friends. Certainly, everyone who is a part of the faith are friends, right? As Jesus celebrated the Passover with his disciples one last time, as he felt the weight of the sacrifice he was about to make on his shoulders, he decided to teach them one more thing. We serve the clean and the unclean equally. By kneeling to wash the feet of every disciple, he submitted himself to attending to them as they were, without judgment, filled with acceptance. As he washed their feet, he demonstrated humility in service. As he washed their feet, he demonstrated how an act of kindness can make a significant difference in the life of another. He washed their feet, all of them. He did not check whether they were clean or unclean because it didn't matter. And so we pray, Jesus, help us to serve without judgment. And since we must serve, remove the barriers that prevent us from serving everyone, clean or unclean.
Then he went a short distance further and fell on his face and prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, take this cup of suffering away from me. However, not what I want, but what you want." He came back to the disciples and found them sleeping. He said to Peter, "Couldn't you stay alert 1 hour with me? Stay alert and pray so you won't give in to temptation. The spirit is eager, but the flesh is weak." A second time he went away and prayed, "My Father, if it is possible that this cup be taken away unless I drink it, then let it be what you want." Again he came and he found them sleeping, their eyes heavy with sleep. But he left them and went again and prayed the same words for a third time. Then he came to his disciples and said to them, "Will you sleep and rest all night? Look, the time has come for the human one to be betrayed into the hands of sinners." As we are gathered with Jesus, Jesus is here, one with each other. Jesus is here.
My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me. If that is not a cry for help, I don't know what is. As the reality of his fate draws near, Jesus is overwhelmed with sorrow for the loss he was about to experience. Loss of trust, loss of friends, deep loss. He went off to pray and came back to find them sleeping. Not even that they couldn't do. They had their own stuff going on after all. They were tired, they couldn't help it. It happens too often, doesn't it? Cries for help going unheard, or responses apathetic, or failure to realize the power of presence. It's not easy to set self aside and focus on another. My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me, yet not as I will, but your will be done. There is the third stage of grief, bargaining. If it is possible, a prayer offered at one time or another for those of us who have received news of the unthinkable, a prayer tinged with hope. If it is possible. To know that Jesus has uttered these words is comforting, reassuring, affirming, accepting that though our spirit is willing, our flesh is weak. The words that follow are words of acceptance. My Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done. He repeated these words as he braced himself to follow through on the commitment he made to save the world. He would allow it to unfold as it was intended. It was time to finish this. And so we pray, Jesus, help us to face our losses, openly expressing our grief to you. As you have walked this road yourself, show us the way that leads to acceptance and hope. Deliver us from the temptation to languish, and give us the strength to grieve by your grace.
Matthew 26, verses 47 to 56. While Jesus was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, came. With him was a large crowd carrying swords and clubs. They had been sent by the chief priests and elders of the people. His betrayer had given them a sign: "Arrest the man I kiss." Just then he came to Jesus and said, "Hello, Rabbi." Then he kissed him. But Jesus said to him, "Friend, do what you have to do." Then they came and grabbed Jesus and arrested him. One of them, with Jesus, reached for his sword. Striking the high priest's slave, he cut off his ear. Then Jesus said to him, "Put the sword back in its place. All those who use the sword will die by the sword. Or do you think that I'm not able to ask my Father, and he will send to me more than 12 battle groups of angels right away? But if I did that, how would the scriptures be fulfilled that say that this must happen?" Then Jesus said to the crowds, "Have you come with swords and clubs to arrest me like a thief? Day after day I sat in the temple teaching, but you didn't arrest me. But all this has happened so that what the prophet said in the scriptures might be fulfilled." Then all the disciples left Jesus and ran away. As we are gathered, Jesus is here, one with each other. Jesus is here.
He didn't have to wait long to be delivered into the hands of those who desired his end. Judas went through with it. He gave them the signal. It was to greet him with a kiss. This betrayal was up close, in your face. Was it a double cheek greeting? That would certainly give an interesting spin to turning the other cheek. "Do what you came for, friend," he said. He called Judas friend, not betrayer, not lover of money, not opportunist. He called him friend. It feels like forgiveness, a secret message to Judas that he did not see him any less than a friend, that he still loved him, still saw him as a friend, still. He takes control of the situation, steps forward and asks in another narration of the story, "Whom are you looking for?" They called him by his name. "We are looking for Jesus of Nazareth." He identifies himself, "I am he." And in his declaration was the proclamation from the very beginning, "I am has become flesh and dwelt among us." In his declaration was the proclamation that he had made throughout his ministry. "I am the light of the world. I am the bread of life. I am the good shepherd. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the true vine. And now I am delivering myself over to you to become the resurrection and the life." They moved to seize him. He did not resist, but one of his followers did. In defense, the follower causes injury to another. So often, in defending the gospel, we cause harm, grievous harm, physical harm, moral injuries. But this is not Jesus's way. His way is that of peaceful resistance. His words are sharper than any two-edged sword. It penetrates even to the soul, dividing soul and spirit, joints and marrows. It judges the thoughts and attitudes of the heart. It was his words that brought this moment into being, and his words will call it to its end. for soon he will say, "It is finished." And so we pray. Jesus, forgive us when we betray you, when we betray people around us and trust that they have invested in us. Forgive us for the harm we have caused as we sought to defend even our faith. Heal the wounds that we have nursed at the hands of the people you have sent us to care for. Help us to forgive as you forgave, seeing even our enemies as our friends. Amen.
As we gather at your table, as we listen to your word, help us know, oh God, your presence. Let our hearts and minds be stirred. Nourish us with sacred story till we claim it as our own. Teach us through this holy banquet how to make love's victory known. Turn our worship into witness in the sacrament of life. Send us forth to love and serve you, bringing peace where there is strife. Give us, Christ, your great compassion to forgive as you forgave. May we still behold your image in the world you died to save. Gracious Spirit, help us summon other guests to share that feast, where triumphant love will welcome those who had been last and least. There no more will envy blind us, nor will pride our peace destroy, as we join with saints and angels to repeat the sounding joy.
Room full of mixed feelings.
We give thanks for your invitation.
As we have shared in your last meal,
We remember your grace and forgiveness anew.
as you washed the disciples' feet,
You show us the beauty of humility and acceptance.
as you grieved openly,
You remind us that you understand our grief and loss.
on a night like this, you waited to deliver yourself. Draw us together as we wait to witness again the greatest love.
Amen.